Hi, this is Shannon, and I will be reading you selections from the Sandwich Enterprise, dated September 12th, 2025. The weather this weekend is Saturday, high of 71, low of 58, partly cloudy. Sunday is a high of 74, low of 56, also partly cloudy. Meetings for this week: Bikeways and Pedestrian Committee, Monday, 6:30 p.m., Sand Hill School Community Center. Select Board, Thursday, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. This meeting is broadcast live by Local Government Channel 9, Education Channel 8, and Public Channel 6, and also streaming on www.sandwichtv.org. Our first headline is School Enrollment Steady Despite Anomalies by Katie Beatty Goers. Enrollment in the Sandwich Public Schools appears to be continuing to stabilize according to initial data. Those district officials expressed some concerns surrounding class sizes at Sandwich Middle High School. During a school committee meeting on Wednesday, Superintendent Joseph P. Marusak told the board that the unofficial total enrollment for this year was 2,131. This represents a decrease of 18 students compared to the October 1st numbers from last year. Marusak said that this was less than a 1% decrease in enrollment. Breaking down the numbers by school, Marusak said that Forestdale has 562 students, Oak Ridge has 661 students, and the middle high school has 877 students. Average class sizes for grades kindergarten through 8th grade range from 17.8 to 22.3 students. I think we're in a very, very good place, Marusak said regarding class sizes. He said that the district's averages are in line with where experts believe class sizes should be for early elementary students. He said that at the next meeting he would be talking more about class sizes for the high school grades, but noted that students tended to shift their schedules quite a bit during the first couple weeks of school at that level, and so presently those numbers this week would be inaccurate. Board member Susan F. Miller requested that when he presents those numbers that he also present data on the number of students enrolled in advanced placement classes by subject. He said that he could do that. When it comes to school choice, Sandwich has seen an increase this year compared to last year of nearly 30 students. Last year, 135 students who live in other towns used school choice to attend school in Sandwich. This year, that number has increased to 163 students. We're pretty much capping it there, Marusak's adding that there are about 30 students still on the wait list to get into the district. He said that the overwhelming majority of school choice students are trying to get into the elementary schools, particularly into kindergarten and first grade. Almost every grade has seen an increase in students coming in through school choice, but it is most notable in the middle school grades. Last year's 5th grade class had 8 school choice students, but this year's 6th grade class has 15. In 6th grade class this year, there were 12 school choice students, and this year there are 23 school choice 7th graders. Last year's 7th grade class had 14 school choice students, and this year's 8th grade class has 21. Marusak said that he estimates that about 43 students who live in Sandwich have chosen to go to schools in other districts. Committee member Burton E. Fisher asked where these students are going. Marusak said that a lot are going to Plymouth and Barnstable. Fisher asked why students were choosing to go to Barnstable. Marusak says sometimes it is a matter of a parent being a teacher in another district and choosing to have their child in the district they work in for childcare reasons. While a lot of the numbers across the district are positive, one area of concern is with the junior class, which currently has an enrollment of 106 students. Marusak noted that it is not a sustainable situation, and Fisher asked for more information on what he means by that. Marusak said that the only positive spin he could put on it is that the graduation ceremony in 2027 would be very brief. He said that when one thinks about the viability of high school programming, advanced classes, extracurricular activities, and sports teams, for example, it becomes far less feasible to provide a diverse array of offerings if there are fewer students to offer those activities to. This is a problem, Fisher said. What are the plans to address that? Marusak said that the district is looking at establishing a climate committee that will involve holding focus groups and talking directly to students and parents. He said that with schools like the Sturgis Charter Schools and Upper Cape Cod Regional Technical School, there will always be some expected amount of attrition. My concern is if needs are not being met, whether academic or social emotional, and we're losing families, we need to address it, he said. Committee Chairman Kevin Serault noted that some families might be choosing Upper Cape Tech for economic reasons, considering the cost of college and the potential wages for the careers vocational schools can prepare students for. Miller asked if there were any opportunities to directly showcase the programs in the district that may be appealing to students and parents, such as college prep and school-to-career programs. And Marusak said there are. Marusak pointed out a silver lining in the numbers when it comes to the freshman class, which is usually a point when the district sees students leave for alternative high school options. He said that the data shows that the class has 10 new students, some of whom are returning to the district from choicing out to schools like Cape Cod Academy and Pope John Paul II. Our next headline is No Time Frames Yet for Historic Town Hall Upgrades by Taylor Frizzetti. A specific time frame regarding repair work for the historic town hall has yet to be nailed down, but town entities will need to find alternative meeting spaces when construction commences in the near future. During the spring annual town meeting, voters passed a request to use $1.2 million in Community Preservation Act funds for improvements at the historic town hall, including window replacement. The project is expected to cost $2.4 million. Assistant Town Manager Heather B. Harper said that the town is still in the bid process, with general bids opening on Thursday. In an email to the Enterprise, Harper said that it will take some time to have a schedule and contract in place. So much depends on the proposer's approach to the project, particularly with the time frame to have the windows fabricated, she said. In the meantime, boards, committees, and town groups will be considering alternative meeting locations, as the auditorium in historic town hall will not be available to use during construction. Sandwich Arts Alliance President Kathy Aubin said town officials have assured the Arts Alliance that they will try their best not to disrupt operations through the end of the year. She said the Arts Alliance and the town work closely together in terms of scheduling and will continue to do so, both leading up to and during construction. We are thrilled that people are caring for the building, she said. Select Board Chairman Charles M. Holden said that the board is considering a few venues, including the Sand Hill School Community Center. The various aspects of each venue need to be evaluated in the near future, he said. School Committee Chairman Kevin Serault said multiple options are being considered for alternative meeting locations. The priority is keeping the Wednesday meeting schedule and ensuring that meetings remain recorded and televised, he said. Harper said that when it is awarded, the general bid forum allows the general contractor 10 months to complete the project. It is always possible that can change if we find that conditions require an extension, she said. We will know a lot more in several weeks when a general contractor submits their work plan and schedule. Our next headline is Broglioli Returns to Oak Ridge School by Taylor Frizzetti. A familiar face has returned to Oak Ridge School. Kevin Broglioli is back at the school, where he once taught in classrooms, to serve as the interim principal. Broglioli started his career in education when he began teaching at the Coyle and Cassidy School in Taunton in 1983. Growing up, Broglioli's father was an educator, and while Broglioli was not sure at first if teaching was for him, he soon fell in love with it right away. After earning his certifications and moving on to Whitman Hanson High School, Broglioli took on a one-year position teaching English at Sandwich Middle High School in 1989. The teacher was on a fellowship, so that when that teacher came back, they made arrangements for me to come teach English here at the Oak Ridge School, he said. After about 2 years teaching at Oak Ridge School, Broglioli was again asked to fill a role at the high school. During his 15 years at Sandwich Middle High School, Broglioli taught English and also served at as the department head for the English department and as the assistant principal. Throughout his career, Broglioli said other educators encouraged him to pursue a career in administration. He noted that the department chair position served as a transitional role between teaching and administration. After 17 years within the Sandwich schools, Broglioli made the tough decision to leave the district and to take on a principal role at Old Rochester Regional Junior High School in Mattapoisett. I was a principal for 12 years of middle school students. If you can be a middle school principal, you can be a principal of anybody, he joked. Broglioli retired from his role at Old Rochester in 2019. But I haven't really done a great job with retirement yet because I keep going back to some interim positions, he said. Throughout this time, Broglioli also mentored principals throughout southeastern Massachusetts. As a Wareham resident, Broglioli is a Wareham School Committee member, and he was the previous head coach of the Wareham boys varsity basketball team. I got to see all sides of what makes an experience for a kid, he says. Obviously, the classroom is the most important, but the athletic fields or the courts are also important, and there are a lot of lessons you can learn out of the classroom. One lesson Oak Ridge students have been learning outside of the classroom this year is how to pick up after themselves in the cafeteria. Broglioli has started a new tradition at the school known as Fancy Table. Students who have the cleanest table in the lunchroom all week are rewarded with an upgraded dining experience, complete with a tablecloth and restaurant ambiance. Fancy Table is trying to teach a lesson. You want to be polite and respectful of the cafeteria workers and the custodians, and you can do that in a fun way, he said. The new tradition is one of the smaller avenues Broglioli is using to improve student culture and community. He said he is also looking into resurrecting the Oak Ridge School Student Council. That is one of the things I want to look at. What are ways we can increase student engagement and start to either resurrect some traditions, maintain traditions, or create some new traditions here, with the kids at the center, he said. He said one of the themes the school is focusing on this year is what it means to be an upstander and to give kids the leadership skills not to just be bystanders, but to do something about it. Broglioli said that he is looking forward to working with parents and teacher volunteers to brainstorm ideas. All the staff have been impressive thus far, very welcoming, dedicated, and motivated, and I am fortunate to be able to work so closely with two dynamic assistant principals, he said. It is my hope and expectation that all staff build relationships with students while teaching them the necessary social and academic skills and content knowledge. And there's an article from Barriers to the Beach called Where the Waves Hit the Shore by Anna Westerberg and Tao Wolf. In part 4 of this ongoing reporting series, we look at the unique challenges that a coastal environment brings to ADA and access. Erosion, tides, storms. What are the challenges when trying to bridge the barriers to the beach? We speak with an erosion geologist, a coastal resilience specialist, and others to understand how literal shifting sands shake accessibility. Patty Erickson Taylor lives with her spouse on C Street in Hyannis. In one direction lies Hyannis Main Street. In the other rise the dunes and the ocean beyond. Erickson Taylor always prefers the sea. And then I had my stroke, she recalled, and I said, how am I going to get onto the beaches? At first, a solution seemed at hand. The town of Barnstable provides floatable beach wheelchairs to residents who need them. But the chairs are heavy, and Erickson Taylor's spouse, Don Erickson Taylor, could not push them through the sand. Erickson Taylor realized, two at the time, that none of the town's beaches offered accessible paths that reached all the way across the sand. 2 years ago, she joined Barnstable's Disability Commission and promptly emailed the Recreation Department, asking them to do more. The Recreation Department agreed. You don't fully realize that maybe not everyone can push those chairs and get to where they want to go, said John Gleason, Barnstable's Recreation Director. Since then, the town has installed blue, non-slip accessibility mats on 3 beaches, Calamus, Dowse, and Keys Memorial. Meanwhile, Erickson Taylor bought an all-terrain walker to walk along the water on beaches that have hard-packed sand. This year, 4 years after her stroke, and equipped with an orthopedic foot device, pool noodles, and her old kayak vest, Erickson Taylor reached a milestone. She finally swam in the ocean again. The thought of swimming filled her voice with emotion. It was awesome. I felt free, she said, adding that independence is key to her recovery. Environmental challenges. Municipalities on Cape Cod would like to offer such liberating experiences to all their residents, but the equipment needed to provide universal access is expensive and often requires extra staff. Add that to the dynamic, endlessly shifting nature of the Cape's beaches and dunes, and erosion from worsening storms, and the challenges become Sisyphean. Nevertheless, most towns are doing their best to open their shores to people with disabilities and plan to keep on trying. Despite the challenges, it's well worth the effort, said Brian McCormack, Coastal Processes and Hazards Specialist with the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution's Sea Grant program. Cape Cod is all about the beaches, and excluding an entire swath of the population from that experience just seems wrong. McCormack, who is also part of Barnstable County's Extension Service, offers technical assistance to towns and other communities seeking to stabilize their beaches and helps them plan for future uses, such as the best place for a beach parking lot, using historical geological data. He offered an abbreviated explanation of why, in some cases, the Cape's beaches are more challenging than those elsewhere, making it difficult to offer and maintain universal access. There are many dynamics at play when assessing site suitability for access, McCormack said. A few of the major factors are the erosion rates, natural resource areas, and tidal ranges. The high erosion rate can make management of access routes and tools very difficult for towns, both in terms of time and resources. The seasonal changes, where the beach grows as summer's calm waves deposit sand, which is then stripped away by winter's fierce storms, can change the slope of the beach, as well as the grain size of the sediment, McCormack said. For some areas, this can be a drastic change from sand to mixed gravel, which is more difficult to navigate. Another factor is the tide change, McCormack said. Locations on the south coast of the Cape Cod have a tide range of about 2 feet, while beaches on Cape Cod Bay have a tide range closer to 10 feet. Tidal range is the difference in height between high tide and low tide. This vertical difference in tide may mean a massive difference horizontally across a beach, he added, explaining that any structures, including rubber mats, that reach the water at high tide could be very far away from the water's edge at low tide, with highly saturated sediments in between. Joshua K. Wrigley, Falmouth's newly hired coastal resilience specialist, agreed with McCormick that the Cape's dynamic coastline, which makes the beaches irresistible places to play, also means towns must cope with erosion every year. Tidally influenced beaches are frequently subject to storm surge events and coastal erosion that damages existing infrastructure such as stairs, paths, and railings, Wrigley said. And a phenomenon known as scarping can occur, during which intense wave energy causes a sudden drop in elevation in places that were previously gently sloped and accessible. Wrigley, who has an extensive background as a conservation officer, said that additional challenges involve environmental concerns. To make a slope more gradual means excavating portions of the dune. That would then compromise other landward areas as they become more vulnerable to new flood pathways, Wrigley said. These activities are regulated as well under state and municipal laws. The environmental challenges are expected to worsen as climate change chips away at towns' best intentions. Looking into the future, we are expecting sea levels to continue to change at an accelerated rate. We also expect that storms will become more intense. These can lead to new and larger challenges in managing the coastline, McCormick said. He added that the county's Cooperative Extension Service stands ready to offer technical support to help better define these sediment and tidal dynamics. This in turn can help guide the proper tools and management and ensure that anyone can safely get to the beach, McCormick said. Barbara Snyder, chairwoman of the Falmouth Beach Committee, said the town has done much to provide beach access to all and will continue to work against the odds to make it even better. It's never going to be easy to get in and out of the water, Snyder said, but we're not going to stop trying and looking at what we can do to improve access to the beaches. Getting down to the water. Even when people with physical challenges manage to get to the beach, it is difficult to actually get their toes in the water. Disability rights laws, spelled out in the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, say accessibility mats must reach the average high tide water line. But in the town of Barnstable, as in many other locations, these mats typically stop mid-sand, leaving beachgoers with mobility issues far from the water. While Erickson Taylor has found workarounds to reach the water and find a way to swim, she said she and others with mobility issues want to move from the accessibility mats to the beach directly and not end up stranded in the middle of the sand. Gleason, Barnstable's recreation director, said the mats stop far from the water for several pragmatic reasons, including beach maintenance processes. The town rakes the beaches every 1 to 2 weeks to smooth the surface. If mats cross the beach, Gleason said, each would need to be unstaked, rolled up, and then unrolled and restaked after each beach raking, and that would require more staff than the town has. You can always ask for more money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll receive more, he said. The fight must go on. Erickson Taylor said that she will continue to fight for better beach access for everyone. Her spouse calls her a woodpecker, referring to the tenacity with which Erickson Taylor attacks her goals. I try to do positive stuff, you know. Not like the poor me, I had a stroke, she said. I just keep busy working and being an advocate in the town for people that want to do things in the town that they haven't been able to do because of their disability. Part 5 is coming up. In the final part of the Barriers to the Beach series, we will take a look at accessibility solutions and success. What does it take to make it work? Our next article is Plumbing Issues at the Library by Taylor Frusetti. Library Director Diane M. Costagliola spoke about sewer issues at the library during a meeting of the Public Library Board of Trustees on Tuesday. Costagliola said the staff had to close the library early on September 4th due to a major sewer backup in the upstairs bathrooms. She said the library also had to close early on a day in early July due to a similar problem. Costagliola said plumbers came right away, the affected areas were disinfected, and town workers are trying to pinpoint the cause of the issues. The upstairs bathrooms have since been reopened, she said. What's interesting is those bathrooms have always been there, and I have a few people on staff who have worked there for close to 20 years, and we've never had an issue like this, she said. Costagliola said that she had to close the staff bathrooms during the spring months as well due to a backup. We thought the issue was stemming from the staff bathroom. The pitch of the pipe, something seems to be a little off. However, again, it has always been this way and we've never had problems, she said. We don't know what's causing it. She said that after the backup in July, signs and smaller trash bins were installed in the bathroom stalls due to initially believing that the issue was caused by flushing menstrual products. Costagliola said that she had asked facilities director Brian Schlegel if the issues could have been caused by flushing wipes. However, Schlegel told her if that was the case, the clog would have been a bit further down from where it is occurring. I am nervous and prepared for this to happen again, she said. On the bright side, she said, while the flooring in both the upstairs and downstairs bathrooms needs to be replaced, it will be replaced with tile rather than the floating vinyl that has been problematic because of the issues. Costagliola said that she will likely report back with an update trustees during the October meeting. Our next article is Trottier named ED of Sandwich Chamber. The Sandwich Chamber of Commerce announced this week that Heidi Trottier, former owner of Mr. T's Auto Service and past chairwoman of the Chamber's Board of Directors, has been hired as the organization's new executive director. Trottier is a familiar face in Sandwich's business community. In addition to running a long-time family business, she has been active in Chamber events and initiatives for many years, bringing both experience and deep local ties to her new role. I'm honored to return to the Chamber in this capacity, Trottier said. Sandwich is a special place to live and work, and I'm excited to partner with our members and the community to continue to strengthening local business. As Executive Director, Trottier will manage day-to-day operations, coordinate events such as Sandwich Fest and Holidays, and support the Chamber's mission of promoting and advertising for local businesses. Paula Johnson, Chairwoman of the Chamber's Board, welcomed Trottier back to the organization. Heidi's dedication to Sandwich and her knowledge of both business and the Chamber itself make her the right person to guide us forward. Next up, there's a history hike set for Saturday. Sandwich Conservation Trust's Brian Kelly will hold a free walk in the Lawrence Pond area of South Sandwich on Saturday, September 13th at 2 p.m. Learn about the history of this little quiet corner of Farmersville and the association with the Aravmar Lodge and the 1916 era Camp Cotuit. The terrain is slightly hilly. Wear supportive walking shoes. Heavy rain will cancel the event. Kelly is a longtime resident of South Sandwich and the current treasurer for the trust. He has written and published a book with photos on South Sandwich history. The meeting spot is a parking area near the town water tower off Topple Bottom Road near Foxtrot Run. Our next article is Commission on Disability Requests Materials from the Town by Taylor Frizzetti. The Commission on Disability has requested that the town provide materials, including a job description for the American with Disabilities Act, ADA, coordinator to help guide its efforts. During a Commission on Disability meeting on September 3rd, Chairwoman Megan Keegan said that the ADA Best Practices Toolkit for state and local governments encourages Commission members to utilize the Title II checklist to assess compliance with requirements. The Title II checklist includes a copy of the written job description for the ADA coordinator, information about the procedures followed by the ADA coordinator to ensure compliance with the ADA, copies of written notices used by state or local governments, and a copy of grievance procedures. As it is our duty spelled out by law to assess the compliance with these administrative requirements, I suggest that we request these documents from the town so that we can do our job, Keegan said. Keegan said a job description for the ADA coordinator does not exist. Therefore, the Commission voted to request that a job description be created and sent to the Commissioners. Building Commissioner Ian Reed is the ADA coordinator for the town, as was former Building Commissioner Brendan W. Brides. In an email to the Enterprise, Town Manager George H. Bud Dunham said the job description for Building Commissioner spells out the ADA coordinator role as part of the Building Commissioner role. However, it doesn't go into a lot of detail as most of these responsibilities are covered under state laws and regulations, Dunham said. While discussing a variance for the Waldorf School during a Commission on Disability meeting on August 18th, Keegan asked Reed, as ADA coordinator, is it your job to advocate for access? I think that is a bit of a loaded question, Meg, to be honest, and I am not comfortable answering, Reed said. The responsibility and role of the ADA coordinator and the building commissioner can be contradictory, Keegan said, noting that one decision might go against the ADA coordinator's responsibility and another could go against the building commissioner's responsibility. However, in a phone call with the Enterprise, Reed said that the roles are complementary to each other because part of the building commissioner's role is to implement and enforce the Accessibility Building Code, known as 521 CMR. As the ADA coordinator, Reed reviews projects and highlights ways to provide further accessibility. It's a vital role, Reed said. It's something that we take very, very seriously. And it's something that, on a personal level, I think it's vitally important. Reed said that he constantly reviews projects and looks for ways to improve accessibility. Our next article is Sandwich Cares will host discussion on overdose prevention legislation. Sandwich Cares will host a presentation by Stephanie Barbosa of Massachusetts Organization for Addiction Recovery, MOAR, on Monday, September 15th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Center for Active Living in Forestdale. Sandwich Cares is a group of solution-focused community members who discuss efforts to address and prevent substance use and overdose deaths in the town of Sandwich. Barbosa will discuss the many policy priorities MOAR has on acts relative to substance use treatment, prevention of overdose deaths, Narcan distribution, and opioid education that are currently being presented to the Massachusetts Senate. Sandwich Cares seeks solution-focused approaches to combating substance use and its effects on the community. Through collaboration, education, and advocacy, its goal is to create a safer and healthier environment for all Sandwich residents. Our next article is Volunteer signups for Cape and Islands United Way's annual Day of Action are open. Cape and Islands United Way, CIUW, will host its annual Day of Action on Tuesday, October 7th. CIUW's Day of Action event brings together community members for a day of volunteering with a focus on service projects at local nonprofit organizations. Individuals or groups of coworkers can sign up to volunteer at capeandislandsuw.org/Day of Action. Day of Action service projects are one-day commitments that range from beautification efforts to organizing food pantries. This year's service project partners include Cape Cod Foster Closet, Champ Homes, Falmouth Service Center, Nantucket Interfaith, Cape Kid Meals, and Harbor Homes, with more organizations to be confirmed leading up to October. Last year, more than 75 volunteers participated in the one-day commitment, helping to distribute food, pass out flyers, organize a winter and coat drive, pack backpacks, and more. Many of our volunteers are groups of co-workers from other nonprofit organizations or local businesses, said Mark Scala, President and CEO of CIUW. This event is a powerful opportunity to work in unity with your coworkers and neighbors and lend a hand to the nonprofit organizations that keep our community vibrant. To learn more about the Day of Action, visit capeandislandsw.org/Day of Action. Our next article is Meals on Wheels receives $50,000 from Stop and Shop. Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands, ESCCI, received a $50,000 grant on Tuesday from the Stop and Shop Family Foundation. The gift will strengthen ESCCI's Meals on Wheels program at a time of record demand and declining federal support. Food insecurity rose 14% across Barnstable, Dukes, and Nantucket counties in 2024, and an estimated 1 in 3 older adults in the region lack enough food to stay healthy. National studies show that as many as half of older adults are malnourished or at risk. ESCCI's Meals on Wheels program delivered more than 340,000 meals in the fiscal year ending June 30th, making it a vital lifeline for older residents across the Cape and Islands. We've always been grateful for Stop and Shop's commitment to the local community, but this extraordinary gift from their family foundation will be truly transformational in stabilizing our meals program over the coming year, as demand and costs both continue to rise, said Sarah Franny, Director of Community Services at ESCCI. At Stop and Shop, we're committed to supporting organizations that make a real difference in the lives of our neighbors. Elder Services Meals on Wheels program ensures that older adults across the Cape and Islands have access not only to nutritious meals, but also to the care and connections that come with them, said Stop and Shop President Roger Wheeler. My family and I spend a lot of time on Cape Cod, and I am proud that Stop and Shop will play a role in helping this vital program continue its important work in serving our community. Next article is Coastal Salt Marsh Talk on September 23rd. The director of the Ecosystem Center of the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole will deliver a presentation on coastal salt marshes on Tuesday, September 23rd at St. John's Church, Sandwich. The free event, led by MBL senior scientist Ann Giblin, will begin at 7 p.m. in the Parish Hall at 159 Main Street. Giblin will talk about complex salt marsh ecosystems, how they are used and modified by early colonists, and how modifications made in the 1700s continue to impact marshes today. She will also discuss how marshes have kept up with sea level rise in the past and why they are threatened now by more rapidly rising sea levels and coastal development. At the end of her presentation, Giblin will offer ways citizens and government agencies can protect marshes and make them more resilient. Giblin, who earned a doctorate in ecology from the Boston University Marine Program at Woods Hole, studies the cycling of elements in the environment, especially the biogeochemistry of nitrogen, sulfur, iron, and phosphorus. Much of her current research is examining how increased nitrogen inputs, hydrologic disturbances, and sea level rise are altering nitrogen and carbon cycling in estuaries in the Plum Island marsh system north of Boston. For more information, call Stephen Tom at 508-685-3735 or the church office at 508-888-2828. Our next article is 24th Annual Seaside Le Mans raises $300,000. The 24th Annual Seaside Le Mans, the race for the Cape Cod community at Mashpee Commons, raised $300,000 on September 6th for 5 Cape Cod nonprofit organizations. In the 2 decades since the inception of the race, nearly $10 million has been collected and distributed. More than 95 drivers got behind the wheel of Formula One-style race carts, competing on a quarter-mile outdoor track throughout Mashpee Commons. Dozens of companies and individuals competed during the endurance race while raising money for several worthy causes. The winner of the 2025 Seaside Le Mans was Robert B. Our Advantage Truck Group, who had donated seats to and was driven by the Mashpee Police and Fire Department. The beneficiaries of the funding are Cape Cod Healthcare to support comprehensive cancer treatment and care for patients, Cape Cod Theater Company Harwich Junior Theater to expand access to the performing arts on Cape Cod, Cape Kid Meals to end childhood hunger across Cape Cod, Fishing for the Mission 22 to help local veterans in crisis, and Parents Supporting Parents to support families coping with substance abuse disorders. Shepley Wood Products Anderson placed second, with E.F. Winslow Cape Cod Commercial Linen placing third. Other awards included TD Bank winning the Bank Cup, Lawrence Lynch Corp had the fastest lap, and the Seaside Gas Service Fuller Electric Axial Benefits received the Sportsmanship Award. Born resident Congressman William Teeting, Democrat, Massachusetts, of 9th District, who has served as the race's Grand Marshal for several years in a row, praised the Davenport companies for continuing the tradition for more than 2 decades and growing the race each year. It's one thing to start something like this. The hardest thing is to sustain it and keep building it. It takes someone with perseverance, said Keating. The fabric of our country is woven by communities coming together. When you look at points in our history, the Civil War, you look at the world wars that we've had and the calls to action we had, it's the way people in those communities came together to defend our country. Obituaries. John J. Dykeman. John James Dykeman of Sandwich died on August 31st. He was 23. Born in Hyannis to James and Cheryl Dykeman, he lived his entire life in Sandwich and attended Sandwich Public Schools. He was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy at a young age and met life's challenges with courage, humor, and resilience. He loved the water, sports, music, and movies, and was cherished by his family and friends. In addition to his parents, he leaves his siblings, Will and Anna Dykeman, and many extended family members. Visiting hours will be held on Saturday, September 20th, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Nickerson Bourne Funeral Home in Sandwich. Mary M. Hagan. Mary Margaret Bacon Hagan of Sandwich, formerly of Falmouth, died on September 4th. She was 82. Known as Margot, she was an active member of St. Joseph, guardian of the Holy Family Parish, and volunteered her time as a CCD teacher for many years. In addition, she donated her time as an English as a second language teacher. She also enjoyed her time as a volunteer at Royal Nursing Home in Falmouth, where she said the rosary with residents. Among her many talents were her love for gardening, interior design, making Nantucket baskets, and furniture restoration. She leaves her children, Alicia Begg and her husband Richard of Falmouth, Colleen Carroll and her husband Michael of Sandwich, Timothy Hagan, Matthew Hagan and his wife Jennifer, all of Mashpee, and Maura Gordon and her husband Richard of Charlton. 12 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and brothers Michael Bacon of Fort Myers, Florida, and Robert Bacon of Wellfleet. She was predeceased by her husband of 60 years, Francis Hagan. Service and burial will be private. Michelle Aluisi. Michelle Aluisi of Sandwich died on September 10th after a battle with ALS. She was 61. Born in Boston to Alan and Marilyn Fleming Bevan, she was raised in the Howes Neck neighborhood of Quincy. After graduating from Quincy High School, she went on to earn a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Quincy Junior College. For the past 20 years, she was a member of the Falmouth Hospital team, where she held several roles and was known for her professionalism, warmth, and integrity. She found joy in her annual family vacations to Nantucket, beach days with a good book, boating, fishing, traveling, dining out, gardening, and shopping trips with her daughter. An avid bird watcher, she enjoyed observing birds, especially her favorites, the hummingbirds and ospreys. She also loved spending time with her cat, Topper. In addition to her parents, she leaves her husband of 36 years, Stephen Alusi, her children, Abby Aluisi of Marston Mills, Mateo Aluisi of East Sandwich, and Jeffrey Aluisi and his wife, Ellie, of Cohasset. Sisters Susan Rigg and Lynn Cadigan, and many nieces, nephews, and cousins. She was predeceased by a sister, Christine Pace. Visiting hours will be held on Thursday, September 18th, from 4 to 8 p.m. at Nickerson Bourne Funeral Home in Sandwich. A funeral mass will be celebrated on Friday, September 19th, at 12:30 p.m. at Corpus Christi Parish in East Sandwich. Burial will be private. Carol Ann Whedon. Carol Ann Whedon of Sandwich died on September 4th. She was 69. No public services are planned at this time. C. Thomas Trulson. C. Thomas Trulson of Sandwich died on August 27th. He was 79. Born in Brockton to Charles L. and Mary C. Fraley Trulson, he grew up in Randolph and attended Cardinal Spellman High School. He was devoted to his faith. After graduating from St. Leo University in Florida with a bachelor's degree, he embarked on a successful career as a marketing and promotions director in the soft drink industry before transitioning to a career as a writer. He leaves his brother, Kevin G. Trulson of Plymouth, 3 nephews, and extended family members. Burial will be held on Monday, September 29th at noon at St. Mary's Cemetery in Randolph. Other obituaries. Richard D. Baker, 74, of Falmouth, died on August 27th. William P. Durkin, 90, of Falmouth, died on September 1st. Robert Foster, 75, of Woods Hole, died on August 31st. Elaine E. Lebar, 97, of Buzzards Bay, died on September 3rd. Reuben M. Martin, 82, of Mashpee, died on September 7th. John E. O'Brien, 85, of Pocasset, died on September 10th. Sally L. Peters, 88, of Falmouth, died on September 4th. Robert F. Shaw, 89, of North Falmouth and Boca Raton, Florida, died on August 1st. Judron B. Turner, 88, of Mashpee, died on September 4th. Dorothy Wheeler, 96, of Pocasset, died on September 6th. We have time for arts, culture, and living. First off, Sandwich Glass Museum's new Discover Glass Room encourages exploration by Joanne Brianna Gardner. In an effort to inspire the next generation of glass artists and continue its mission of providing educational programming, the Sandwich Glass Museum in January opened its Discover Glass Room, a space where children and their parents can explore the processes involved in glass blowing using hands-on activities and videos, as well as through donated reading material. We felt that there was a need for the next generation to really get engaged with the art of glass making, Executive Director Mary K. Childs said. In this room, kids can watch a demo video and then pretend to be a glass blower. After watching a video on glass blowing, youngsters can explore the tools they just learned about, sit on a bench next to a replica furnace in an area created to be similar to the museum's glass blowing demonstrations room, and pretend to create their own blown glass. On view are tools used by actual glass artists, such as jacks, a blowpipe, and various types of shears. Young people and families can also explore the many safety items used by glass blowers. In the Discover Room, children can put modeling clay into an antique glass press and flatten it into a design that would have been used by glass makers to create items, such as cup plates, and then let their clay piece air dry. It's a fun thing and people love it, Childs said, adding that visitors can see an antique press at work in the hot glass studio. It's amazing to see the kids sitting at the glass-making bench, Childs said. I've seen kids try and put the clay on the end of a pipe. It's really fun. We've had school groups come and try it out. Titcomb's Bookshop donated a bunch of educational books that people can look at, Childs said. Titles include picture books such as You Wouldn't Want to Live Without Glass, The Glass Blower, and 1,000 Glass Flowers, as well as manuals including Beginning Glass Blowing and Learn How to Blow Glass. A coloring book by Josh Simpson, whose retrospective show, Illuminating the Past, Sparkling the Future, 50 Years of Visionary Glass, on view through October 31st, is also in the Discovery Room and for sale in the gift shop. More arts and culture with Mindfulness Arts Festival is expanding into 2 venues. The Awareness Project will present its 5th annual Mindfulness Arts Festival at 2 venues in Sandwich on Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Workshops and activities will be held at the Sandwich Public Library, 142 Main Street, and First Church Sandwich, 136 Main Street. The Mindfulness Arts Festival is a free all-ages event, children welcome, that features expert artists and practitioners exploring mindfulness through visual art, sound, movement, and performance. The event will feature workshops, vendors, face painting, a food truck, and puppet shows. The day will include sessions on topics including collage, sound heating, yoga, journaling, puppet shows, intuitive art, poetry, and more. Sessions such as yoga and sound healing will invite participants to experience gentle, restorative movement through a slow yoga flow set to the sounds of crystal bowls. It's a chance to slow down, tune into the senses, and reconnect with self, event organizer Pete Cormier said. Mindfulness has been shown to result in tangible health benefits such as lowered blood pressure, reduced stress, and improved sleep. Our goal with this festival is to demonstrate the ways mindfulness can be practiced with a focus on art making. A complete schedule of events, times, and locations can be found at the www.theawareness.org/festival. Attendance for the workshops will be first come, first served. Well, this one sounds fun. A new play looks at life of legendary Joan Rivers by Joanne Brianna Gartners. One of the great things about my job is taking a deep dive into a topic I know very little about. This week that topic was trailblazing comedian Joan Rivers. Rivers, whose legendary career included performing stand-up across the country, countless television appearances, late-night and daytime television talk show hosting, stints in movies and on Broadway, hit comedy albums, and more, is the subject of the new play, Joan, on stage through Saturday, September 20th at the Cape Playhouse. The show wraps up the Playhouse's summer season and is the only play in a lineup that included 4 musicals. Written by Daniel Goldstein with Rivers' daughter, Melissa, as executive producer, the show opens with Joan, Nicole Parker, on stage at age 75, performing her signature self-depreciating material and quickly transitions back in time for a look back at Rivers' life, beginning in New York City in the 1950s with Rivers and her parents, Beatrice and Meyer Molinsky. Rivers makes it clear early on that making people laugh is what she wants to do. Her parents do not understand her ambition, nor does her future husband, Jimmy Sanger, Jarrett Polandian, who she asks repeatedly whether he thinks she is funny. Unable to grasp the concept, it is hardly a surprise that their marriage is annulled after only 6 months. Alex Fink plays a young Joan Rivers. from her teenage years and failed first marriage up to her success with Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, and the whirlwind romance that led her to her second marriage with Edgar Rosenberg in 1965. She also plays Rivers' daughter, Melissa. Both Fink and Parker capture the Rivers' brash, often raunchy onstage personality, as well as her softer, offstage selves. As Rivers in her later years, Parker captures Rivers' exaggerated expressions, her signature "Can we talk?" catchphrase, and her thick New York accent. On looking at old footage of Rivers, it is clear that both Fink and Parker do a good job at both acting and looking the part. In addition to playing Rivers' first husband, Jimmy Sanger, Garrett Polandian portrays various characters, from exuberant waitstaff to a teenage Melissa's 1980s rad boyfriend. Richard Topol plays straight man to an often over-the-top Parker as Edgar Rosenberg. Rivers' second husband, asserting himself but rarely overpowering his wife. Other roles adeptly played by Topol include Johnny Carson and Meyer Molinsky. In 1965, Rivers became an overnight sensation after a lifetime of work through her first appearance on The Tonight Show, where Johnny Carson told her, "You're going to be a star." With a career spanning 50 years, Rivers is credited with inspiring a generation of female stand-up comedians. The play is full of humor, especially when Rivers is delivering one of her acerbic monologues. Comics are born out of failure, Rivers says at one point, with the play touching on several: her sometimes volatile relationship with Rosenberg, her disappointment on not being shortlisted as a replacement host for Johnny Carson, her apprehension about motherhood, and while there are points in her life that might have broken a weaker personality, Rivers continues through hard choices, disappointment, and heartbreak. What's challenging about this play is that Rivers was so multifaceted that it's hard to pin the essence of a play down to 1 or 2 points. Toward the play's end, Fink, as Melissa Rivers, gets to the heart of the matter. "My mother was a force of nature. Forward was her only direction. She never saw the difference between life and work." The set often looks like a talk show stage, even when it's Rivers' living room. Scenery behind the windows transforms its to note location changes. New York, Jamaica, California. A closed curtain provides for snippets of Rivers' comedy performances at various stages of her career. "Everything is material," Rivers proclaims, an ideology she embraces, using every part of her life as fodder for her comedy. For Rivers, nothing was sacred. Nothing was sacred. Not marital problems, not motherhood, not suicide, not aging. "Where would we be without laughter?" she asked her audience. Playwright Daniel Goldstein was in the audience for opening night, surely appreciating the laughter of the audience, but perhaps also noticing the few audience members checking their watches as the play progressed. Joan runs for 1 hour and 40 minutes without intermission. In my opinion, it could be tightened up to 90 minutes for a more effective production. There are a few segments when the pacing seems slow and a few scenes that felt redundant. That said, the play is a fascinating look at a woman who lived life on her own terms, forging a career in stand-up comedy at a time when the field was dominated almost exclusively by men. Joan continues on stage through September 20th. Shows are at 7:30 p.m. Mondays through Saturdays, with additional matinee performances on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. The final performance on Saturday, September 20th, will be at 4 p.m. There are no shows on Sunday. Tickets can be purchased online. Because some of the dialogue contains adult language, the Playhouse recommends Joan for ages 18 and older. Well, this is Shannon, your reader, wishing everybody a wonderful week, because this is all that I have time for right now. And hopefully we'll continue to enjoy this fantastic, lovely weather still. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.